Satyan has named this session number crunching, but the number crunching is mainly done by us. Very little number crunching will be done by you all. What you will actually be telling me is show me the money. So how is it that I will show you the money is what I'm going to explain to you today. I am going to be the treasurer next year. My mentors are going to be Kirit Kamdar, whether he likes it or not, and Mehul Sampat. So as Bimal just mentioned, budgeting is very important, and so did Fali, that budgeting is very important. So I'm going to make a few points about budgets. The first one is going to be very obvious. Estimate and plan annual outline. Now what happens is usually, committee chairs are asked to give a budget and they just say, what was your last year's budget? Just give me that plus 10-15%. Please don't do that. Please sit with your committee members, take some time. We're still in April. We have a long way to go. So sit with your committee members and discuss what is it that you will want to do, what are the costs involved for the activities you want to do, and then make a budget. Because just giving a blind budget will not help, because this is how then the fund allocation is done. Do refer to the past budgets, because you will get an idea of what are the activities and what is the potential of each committee that can be done, and you can base your budgets on that. But like I just mentioned, the previous budget is not your budget, so do not repeat that. I need to repeat this because every year we see that the same numbers are just added with a slight escalation. Yeah, create a timeline. So basically, what you need to do is you need to give us in timeline at least quarterly, and if the committee is very large, then a monthly statement of how much funds will be required by the committee on a monthly basis, so the funds can be made available to you. You can identify your major expense heads and your minor expense heads for those monthly breakups. Okay. And do monitor your spends as you go on, because it should not be that you have made an expense and the funds are not available. Okay, this slide is dedicated to Vijayji. I don't know if he's here, but since he's here, we've been trying to get this misnomer out. You will be allocated a budget at the beginning of the year. It does not mean that the funds are available. So what happens is, budget allocated is basically, the intent of the board to spend the amount on your project, but we cannot spend those funds until the funds have been made available with this. So the donations have to flow in, or the funds have to be made available. Make sure that the club has the funds before you make the spend. And once you make the spend, how is it that you get it back from Rotary, from the office? So there has to be a small note, either sent by email or handwritten, or just by a simple note to send to the Rotary office. This has to be attested and signed by the chairperson. The note has to be accompanied by a bill. The bill has to come to the Rotary office, signed and stamped before the remittance can be made. The bill can be paid to the vendor. Please make sure that the bill is in the name of Rotary Club Bombay Charities Trust number 3 and not the committee chair or the committee members. And in case of club, as it may be, there are some club committees, the bill should be made in the name of Rotary Club of Bombay. It has to be signed and preferably stamped by the vendor. Next is GST. So we do claim GST credit. So do make sure that the GST information is part of the bill, and the vendor uploads it in the GST portal. I mean, only the club. Only the club. Okay, so we begin once, but we end twice. What does that mean? Our Rotary Year, as you all know, will begin on 1st July, but we have 2 year endings. One is 31st March, which is going to be a financial year end, and one is 30th June, which is going to be the Rotary Year end. So, we need to be a little careful about the financial year end, where some spends made towards the end of the year get carried forward to the next year, which is 1st April and beyond. So try not to create any spend in the last 15 days of March. If it does take place, do make sure that the bills reach the Rotary office before 31st, so we can dispense them before the end of the year. Same goes, not so important for the 30th June year end, but do try to make sure that your spends are reported to the Rotary office before the end of the year, before the end of the Rotary year. And bills need to be sent to the Rotary office not more than 5 days after the spend is made. This is to make sure that there is seamless activity and people remember what they are asking the money for. Sometimes bills comes after a month or two and then people forget what is it for, and the whole purpose is lost of what the dispense is to be made for. Do allow us 7 to 10 days to make the payment back to you or back to the vendor. This is also because we are facing a lot of new change in office. We're getting a lot of new members, new staff, and it is taking some teething time. We are also implementing a maker-checker facility in the club, where there will be some teething issues in the beginning, but it's going to be better and more efficient in the future. That's about it. Anything else?
Can I make one more recommendation?
Sure.
Most of the projects that we deal with which have payouts are recurring in nature. And a good practice would be for the chairs to use the original mail and make sure that the entire chain communication, if they're sending the note, is there. Yeah. Otherwise, it becomes a big challenge to keep going back and forth. Because many of these payments would come up after 3 months or 4 months, and if you have to correlate, it's a problem.
So that also takes place in the budgeting session. That's a good point. So when you're budgeting, you can do things, you can make your budgets to let us know whether there's a one-time payment or is it a recurring payment. And if it's a recurring payment, like what Siddharth said, we can always use the same trail. And the office bearers will have a reference point to go back to.
One more thing, the expense note for BY, I made a voucher format, which we've been using and it's working seamlessly. I would suggest make a standardized format for the bills to come along with a voucher which is signed by the chair.
Okay,
give explanation of the expense. The same format we can just share it.
So internally in the office, I've already asked for them to make us a voucher.
Share format of the voucher and the budget for everyone.
Yeah,
budget templates cannot be made. What I can do is I can give a template to each committee of the past budget, because every committee is very different from each other. Like a Bhavishya Young will have salaries, but some other committee will have some other different payouts. So, but the previous budget templates can be used for the incoming template.
Hello everyone. I'll just touch upon a few points just to elaborate some of them. I think the most important one, like what Mehul also said and also what Bimal had referred to, is the budgets. Now, can anyone tell me why preparing a detailed budget is important? What is the most important reason why a budget is prepared, especially for our charity trust? Yeah, any thoughts?
You don't overspend.
Yeah, correct. Okay. Anything else?
It's part of the plan. And we have to collect the funds.
Right, that's the most important. Because the budget is used by us or by at least the fundraising committee to go to the donors. Unless they have an appropriate budget under the heads that you're spending on, it's very difficult to approach donors and get money. So having a detailed budget, head-wise, etc., is most important to enable the trust to collect money from the donors. And as what Mehul and Satyan both referred to, is that it's not a standardized template that you can do for all the committees. Bhavishya committee may have a completely different budget from a pediatric heart surgery budget. So it's important to lay down what are the items, the major heads of items of that particular committee, see to it that all areas are covered, And please keep 5 to 7% of the estimated expenditure as an additional to cover the impact assessment and the admin cost that is incurred by the trust and by the club. So that is one part of the budget. The second is, of course, the office bearers and the committee are here to help all the various committees, go through their work, and you're the ones on the field who are doing the work. So, but there are certain statutory compliances which, of course, Ishraq will take you all through, which are required to be complied by the trust and the club. And it is because of these statutory compliances that we require a lot of data, a lot of things that you must do to ensure that everything is complied with. 2-3 simple things are, if either you're giving a reimbursement or you're giving a donation, that becomes very, very important on how it is accounted in the trust and the club's books. Because if you're giving a donation, it is accounted separately. If you're giving reimbursements, you may have issues of TDS, other things to be complied with. So, it's better to have the clarity. The office should have the clarity when the various committees are making some payments, whether it is reimbursement or a donation. This will also have an impact on our CSR collections, because we are mentioned to the CSR donors as an implementing agency. If we are passing on and donating it to somebody else, maybe the donors will have to be informed that for that particular activity, we are not the implementing agency. Similarly, like the point Bimal made about reimbursements or, about professional fees or employment. If somebody is being paid, again, professional fees, the TDS, other implications are different, the labor law implications are different. So, each committee is requested to please kindly inform the office bearers quite in detail what are the basic breakup of your expenses.
Also, capex and opex to be separate.
Yes, that also should be separate. And the other thing is this: once the budgets are made and approved, it's not just a one-time thing. Every quarter, it must be reviewed. If the committee chairs or the co-chairs feel that budget is either surplus or it's going to be deficient, the faster it is brought to the attention of the president, the better, because it can be accordingly planned better. Thank you.